All right, I'm Joey Krug, and I started Augur. Augur is built on Ethereum. Augur is a platform for prediction markets. So first, it's important to understand what prediction markets actually are. And prediction markets are financial markets where you can speculate on essentially anything. They're basically derivatives. The idea is that the price is a prediction. So you can think of things like what will the share price of Apple be at the end of September, or will a certain country invade another country, who will become president, who will win a certain sports match, and pretty much anything. And so Augur is a platform that allows people to create prediction markets on whatever they want. So this is kind of like the main landing page you see when you get to the UI. This one, I've filtered it for science markets. And so what it will do is it'll show you all the markets that are related to science. And then you can click on them and actually trade in them using Ether. So what does it mean to be a decentralized prediction market? So the idea behind Augur is that if you have decentralized derivatives that have no central point of failure, that could be like one of the killer apps of blockchain tech. And so what this means is there's no one processing the trades. There's no one person creating the markets. There's no one counterparty to the trades. There's no one central person resolving the markets to do the payouts. There's no limit on how much you can trade. So current prediction markets around the world today, they typically have limits. So you can only, bet $3,000 or something like that for predict it. On Augur, there's no limit. And then the idea is that since it's on Ethereum, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or anything like that. So anyone globally can trade on it. So there's like a big problem right now where due to capital controls, people in China can't necessarily invest into US markets. But with something like Augur, they could basically get the same profit and loss exposure using derivatives. And so there's three pieces to a decentralized prediction market. One is creating markets, then there's actually trading in the markets, and then there's reporting on the markets and resolving them. So I'm going to walk through basically creating markets on Augur so you can see what it's like. First, you have to sign in. On Augur, you can sign in with Airbits, or you can actually create a private key that you have to store and manage yourself. And then market creation. So there's three types of markets you can create. One is a yes or no market. So that's a binary one. So will this event happen or not? Will Trump win the presidential election or not? There's multiple choice markets. So that's like, out of these candidates, who will win the presidential election? Out of these horses, who will win the race? Things like that. And then there's markets that are called scalars or numerical range markets. And these markets are ones where there's a bounded range. So on Augur, unlike regular derivatives, there's not infinite loss. So if you short Augur on Apple, or Apple on Augur, you basically don't have unlimited loss. So it's kind of interesting in that the propensity or the willingness to short is different on Augur than it is on a regular financial market. Because in regular markets, you can lose more money than you own. But on Augur, your loss is bounded. And so for this market, we're going to ask, will Kanye win the presidential election in 2020? So first thing it's going to ask you to do is enter in a description of the event, which we've done there. And then if we go to next, then we can basically specify a resolution source. For this source, we're just going to say it's on the news. That's a big enough event that we don't need to specify a source. If you have something that's more obscure, like who will win a Little League game in this random small town in Illinois, for that one, you'd want to provide a link where reporters can go to basically actually resolve your market. And then you choose an end date. So after the end date, the market's put into reporting and reported on and resolved, which we'll get to in a bit. You can also choose additional details. We're not going to put any in here. And then you can choose a topic. So the way you find markets in Augur is there's a search function, and there's also a list of categories on the side. So for this one, we're going to make the category politics. And then we're going to put two keywords, elections and presidential. So if anyone Googles, or if anyone looks up elections or presidential or politics or Kanye or US presidential election in Augur, this market will show up somewhere in there. The markets are sorted based off of how much volume they have and how liquid they are, and as well as trading fees. So if this market has like lots of trading action on it, it should show up near the top. And then as a market creator, you can set the fees in the market. So there's two fees you can set, and one is the taker fee, which is how much it costs to basically take an order off the order book. A taker is someone, if you go to exchange, like say you go to GDAX and you just place a big order, it's a market order, you're going to be a taker in that scenario. If you place an order on the book itself, then you're going to be a maker. And makers pay lower fees than takers because you want to incentivize people to put orders on the order book. Because with more orders on the book, there's more liquidity. And then it will ask you to create like initial orders on the market. So we're going to put one example order, and we're going to say we're going to buy 100 shares that yes, he'll win, and we're going to give it a high probability. We're going to say there's a 75% chance that he'll win. And so what happens is, if we're right, we'll get 25 cents per share profit. If we're wrong, we lose at 75 cents per share. So we either make 25 ether or lose 75. And then it will basically just give you an overview, and then you can create it. And then it will load the pending transactions. So doing that, you've basically taken something that currently costs millions of dollars to do and done it for a few dollars on Ethereum. Because currently to create a new financial contract, it's going to cost you many millions in legal fees, startup costs, and initial liquidity costs. But on Augur, you can do it in a few bucks, in a few minutes. And then the next piece is trading. So once we have this market, we actually want to trade in it or participate in it. This market, this example one, is what will be like the #1 killer in the United States by 2025. So is it going to be like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, things like that? And each outcome has its own order book. So you can buy an outcome or you can sell it. You can also short sell. So if you think, well, I know it's not going to be lava, you can short sell lava. So you could basically say, it's not going to be that, and provided that doesn't happen, you will make money. The way it works is it's a decentralized order book. So you're posting orders on Ethereum, and currently it's kind of expensive because the prices of things are super high. Although if you're willing to wait a few minutes, it's around 3 cents to place an order, as well as to take an order. And so if you're trading like a few $100s, that's basically nothing. And it's still way cheaper than existing systems where if you want to bet on something, it's cost you 10% in fees total. And then the way it works is, so there aren't shares already existing for what's the #1 killer in the United States. There are shares existing for things like Apple and Amazon that are publicly traded, but for these markets that are derivatives, the shares have to be issued. And the way that works is that they're issued through complete sets. So that basically means a complete set is all the possible outcomes. So for will Trump win or not, one outcome is yes, he won, and one outcome is no, he lost. And so a complete set is one of each of those. And they're worth 1 at the end. So what you can do is you can buy complete sets and then sell various parts of them to people to basically make a bet. And what will happen in practice is people won't even see the complete set stuff. They'll just place an order on the book or take an order off the book, and they won't really know about it because it's just going to happen in the background. That's how it actually works. And then fees are charged on complete sets at the end. So if you hold winning shares, you're going to get charged a fee at the very end. And then the final part of Augur that's kind of cool is trading on Augur that's kind of cool is it has proper worst case loss. So what this means is it's never going to take more money from you than it actually should to make a trade. This is something that's very important to traders. So like the first system we had used this thing called a market scoring rule, or the LMSR, and it didn't have proper worst case loss. So traders would freak out because they'd be like, well, I wanted to short and it took too much money from me, things like that. And if you have proper worst case loss, it actually solves that problem. So here's the UI for trading. You can basically place an order on the book, and that's kind of what we're doing here. We're buying yes. Here's a closer version of the UI. So it's pretty simple. And then in the bottom, you can see what current positions we own. So we own shares of heart attacks. So we think heart attacks are going to be the #1 killer in the US in 2025. Might be right, actually. And then this is the account page. This is like our worst page on the UI because it just looks really poorly designed, which is why we hired IDEO to basically revamp our UI's design. But basically what you can do on the account page is you can export your private key. So say you're like, I want to use my private key somewhere else. It has a bunch of Ether and rep on it. I don't want to deal with the Augur UI. You can basically download it there. You can also basically connect to Shapeshift and deposit Ether or rep. You'll be able to purchase Ether with Coinbase's buy button. So that's kind of a quick way to get into the system. And then, of course, you can transfer funds. this is the actual part of Augur that like actually matters. This is the just decentralized oracle. So when you have a prediction market, you have a question about some future event. At some point, the event actually has to happen. And once the event happens, you need a way to resolve the market. So for the example of will Kanye win in 2020 or not, once that event has happened, we need to get into the blockchain whether he won or not. And so basically the obvious way to do this is use an API or a centralized third party to resolve it. The problem with that is it's not secure because that person could just buy up shares of the other side, report the wrong answer, and then make a bunch of money. And they can also be pretty easily bribed. So the way reporting works is reps an economic bond. It tracks how often you report with a consensus. Market creators are basically paying for insurance as well as traders. So ideally, most of the reporting system never needs to be used, but in the event that it does, you're basically paying for insurance. You get penalized if you report incorrectly, or if you don't report enough and you're trying to report. If you don't report, you just don't get any fees, but you don't like lose rep for not reporting. If as long as you report honestly, you'll get market fees and rep from incorrect or dishonest reporters. And so what happens is the market closes after people report. You can also claim your proceeds from trading before the resolution happens. You can just sell your shares to someone else. Or if you happen to have a complete set, you can just sell it at that point. You don't need to wait till the very end. I imagine most people won't, but maybe some like arbitrageurs will. This is kind of what the reporting UI looks like. You enter the outcome, what actually happened, and whether it's indeterminate or something you think is unethical. So a good example of this is like assassination markets. You would check the unethical box and then submit the report. The way the reporting process works is there's a first attempt where you basically just appoint someone. So that's kind of similar to the way like Gnosis resolves markets. We just basically say, okay, I think this person is going to do a good job on reporting it. If they do it wrong, then it's pushed to the actual real reporting system where a limited set of reporters are randomly selected to report on it. If those people get it wrong, another bond is posted and everyone reports on it. If those people get it wrong, then the system can fork into two realities where one set says X happened and one set says Y happened. And the idea is that the one that represents reality is what people should use. You don't want to trade on a prediction market that's basically saying lies about what actually happened because you'll never make any money that way. And this is just kind of an overview of rep and like where Augur's at. So there's 11 million rep. There's like around 500,000 rep that I know has been lost or burnt. We raised like 5 million in a crowd sale. It's now worth 14 million due to crypto going up. And then we started in 2014, did an alpha 2015, beta 2016, and the idea is to do an MVP launch later this year. It's currently in security audits. The contracts are being audited. The kind of value proposition of rep is that for reporting, you get a portion of all the fees that go to the system. And the market cap of Augur needs to be higher than the total value of shares outstanding. Otherwise, it's not secure. There's incentive to cheat. It's kind of similar for Ethereum and the projects built on it as well. That's it.